This is a mock test where we're going through grade 12 information technology. We're going through OOP, or object-oriented programming, and we are going to look at the first part of the OOP question, and that is creating or defining the actual class. So here we've got the question. We can see we need to complete the code for the relevant event handlers and create a functional program to allow users to book students and their partners at different tables at a matric dance. So we've got a unit called MLS MD table _u, which is in the OOP test folder, an incomplete object called a TMD table, MD for matric dance. That's been provided, which contains the following attributes. So this already exists. It's been declared for us. That's got these attributes, which I'm assuming will be private. It's got a table number, which is an integer. It's got students, the number of students at the table, the number of partners at the table, and then a names list, a list of names of the students separated by commas, which is a string. All the fields are private and all the methods are public. The methods you need to create are in the code below. So the first question is always going to be a constructor, well, I bet. And so here we come. 1.1.1, you write a parameterized constructor accepting one parameter only. Although we've got 4, it only wants one parameter. So always look at what it wants. It wants one parameter for the table's number. All the other fields must be set to 0, so the number fields to 0, and the F name list must be set to the empty or null string. Okay, so that's quite easy. So we're going to go to our Delphi program. So this is the program that we opened, but on the side here, you'll notice there's the class that we need to work on. So for this question, we're just going to double click on that, and we're going to work in here. So as you can see, they've already done all these declarations for us. That's great. So now we need to go and create, there's already a ToString function. We're going to create a constructor. So you type in the word constructor. You see it goes blue. It's always called create. And they said one parameter for the table number. So obviously that must be an integer. So we're going to say table num, whatever you want to call it. And I'm going to make that of type integer. So that is my declaration. Constructor, create, and the parameter is a table number. So I'm going to go Control Shift C. Oh wait, put a semicolon there, Control Shift C, and it takes me to the place where the code will be written for the constructor. Now we are taking the values from the parameters and putting them into the field. The create, we want to set these fields. All these must have values. So you can almost like copy them and paste them in your constructor, because this is what we want to fill. We want to give them values. Okay, most of them will need values. So the table number, where we're going to get the table number from, we're going to get it from this parameter. We don't need to give it a value. The user will give it a value when it calls it. We don't need to go and assign it anything. It's going to go fetch it from there. The number of students, however, if students, needs to be given a value of 0. We said initialize it to 0, and the partners must be initialized to 0. And then the name list must be the empty string, which is quote, quote, like that. Okay, so you can see that. That's exactly what they wanted. They wanted one parameter for the table number, all the others are 0, and then the name list is set to the empty string. So there we go. That's our constructor. Next question, 1.1.2. Write a method called getTableSize that returns the sum of the total number of students and the number of partners at the table. So that's the number of students and that's the partners, so we must return the sum of it. So it's a method that returns something. In other words, it's a function. There's no mention of the word takes in or has parameters. So it's going to be a simple little getTableSize, a function called getTableSize, no parameters because nothing was specified, and it's going to return back the sum of those two numbers, which will be an integer. We can see that's going to be an integer. Control Shift C, and we're going to say result. Remember with functions, you have a result variable that you must put your final answer in. What's our final answer? Well, it's whatever F students is, that value plus F partners, I think it was. Partners, there we go. Take those two numbers, add them together, and return that. Okay, easy so far, nothing too difficult. 1.1.3, the table cost. This returns the total cost to be paid by the table for the table. The cost is calculated as 500 for each student and 700 for each partner. Table cost, it's a method that returns something, does not take in anything. So again, this is a function. So let's go up here. We're going to make another function called get table cost. Is it get table cost, or is it get, or just called table cost? Sorry. So no get part. So table cost. And that's going to return, well, you could make it return a real, but we're dealing with integers most of the time, yeah? Because the 700 and 500 are quite integery. Control-Shift-C. And our result is, well, it's the number of students, and each student pays 500 Rand. So we pay 500 plus that, and then plus the number of partners. The partners pay 700 Rand each. So 700 Rand times all the partners, 500 Rand times all the students, and that combined should give me my value for the total cost of the table. There we go. Now, write a method named add single that accepts a student's name. So that's a parameter. We want a student's name. The method must increase the students by 1 and add the student's name to the list followed by a comma. So it must add it to the list followed by a comma. So make sure we follow those instructions correctly. So we're going to come up here. So they didn't mention anything about returning anything. So this must be a procedure called add single, and it takes in a parameter, a single name, name of type string. Okay, Control-Shift-C. So what do we need to do? What were those two things that they said we must do? First thing, increase the students by 1. Increase the students by 1. That's the first thing. So I can just go increase F students. There we go. Increase F students. Or you could have said F students is equal to F students plus 1. That would have also worked, but that's increasing it by 1. And then we need to take the name list, take whatever's currently in the, we're not changing the name, or we're not making a brand new name list, we're taking what's currently there and add in the name of the student, which is S name, followed by a comma. So we just put a comma in like that. So take whatever's in the name list, add this new name that's coming in as a parameter, and add the comma. Okay, so that's what that wants to do. There we go. Then add couple. This must also accept the student's name, but it increases the students by 1, increases the partners by 1, and adds the name to the F name list, followed by the text plus partner, followed by a comma. So there's quite a few things there. Okay, so let's have a look. Let's go. Okay, so let's go add couple. So we're going to go, yeah, that's also, there's nothing being returned, so that's also a procedure. Add couple, which also takes in a name of type string. Okay, Control-Shift-C. And we are going to increase F students. We are going to increase F partners. And then we're going to say the names list is going to be very similar to this. Almost copy and paste it. So let's see. So we must just double check. We add the student's name to the name list, followed by the text plus partner, followed by a comma. Okay, so we must add plus partner, comma. So there we go. Plus partner, comma. That's what's been added with the add couple option. Okay, so far so good. Not too bad, eh? Not too bad. And then 1.1.6, write a method getStats that returns, this is a function, the following string. So we want the students followed by a tab, followed by the number of students. So students tab, and then on new line partners, the number of partners. So there we go. GetStats. That is a function that doesn't take in any parameters. So we're going to come up here and say, okay, we want another function called getStats. Doesn't take any parameters, but returns a string. Control-Shift-C. And the result is going to be the word students, followed by a tab. So we can actually go like that. And then we're going to plus a #9, plus the value for the students, plus a #13 for a brand new line. I'm going to just over here, oh, I didn't put in my colon equal to, plus the word partners, plus a #9, plus the value for the partners. And if we look there, does that, yep, that looks right. And then, but remember this whole thing, oh, we must put a plus there, plus the partners, so there we go. This whole thing must be a string. Is that a string? No, we must convert that from what it is, it's an int, to a string. And we must do the same for f partners, int to string. And if int to string didn't work, if it didn't recognize int to string, that would be because it doesn't have sysutils at the top. But if you look here, sysutils is already there. So just remember, if you're using int to string and float to string and all those type of things, uses sysutils at the top between the interface and the type. Okay, so there we go. So those are all been easy. When's the difficult question? Oh yeah, we spoke too soon. Here's the difficult question, number 1.7. A ToString method has been created for you that creates and returns a string called sline. Sline currently contains all the details for the specific table number. So let's go have a look at that so long. So we're going to go down to F. There it is. So it currently sline result equals to sline. So it returns sline, and sline has the table number followed by the table number field. Fantastic. What else do they want though? So add code to the method that will add a list of names to the students. Okay, so the name of the students will be contained in the F name list. So yes, we've been adding names to this F name list, separated by commas. If the student is attending with a partner, then obviously that plus partner word will appear. Yes, because that's what we did. So this could be a possible string list. Do you see that? There's always a comma at the end. If the student is attending the dance with a partner, the plus text appears at the end of the name. Okay, so we know that. And any person that does not have that is obviously a single, no text. Okay, so each name must appear on a new line. So they wanted to, if you basically read through this, they want it to look like that. They want the name of the student and then the word with partner. So you need to go, boom, copy till the position of the comma, because that's when you know it's the end of the student. Is there a plus partner there? No, there isn't. So it's just the word Bruce Kent. Then we copy the rest of it and go, okay, boom, there we go. Is there a plus partner? Yes, there is. If there is, then we copy up until the plus symbol, and then we just say that name with partner at the end. And then that's how we basically do it. So we got to repeatedly do that. How do we know how many times to do that? Well, I think they gave us each student's name ends with a comma, and the number of names that need to be extracted is the same value as F students. So if there's 5 names in the list, F students would be a 5. That means there'll be 5 commas as well. That's going to be very useful. So now let's just extract 1. That's what I want to do. Just extract 1. That's all we can do. Extract 1. So let's pretend we've got F. Now this is a little trick I'm going to think ahead. Like, we don't actually want to change F name list. I don't want to change it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make an stemp variable, a temporary variable, because I know with string handling we end up deleting and stuff like that. So I'm going to make stemp equal to the F name list. This way I can change, is it F name list? F names list. I can change stemp to my heart's content. It's not going to affect the F names list because I don't want to start deleting from stuff in there. So we want to find the position of a comma. So our comma is of type integer. Okay, so that's it. Just do one name. We want to find the position of the comma. The position of the comma in stemp. Find the position of the comma. It'll give me the first comma. So let me actually copy that list name. Let me just copy this whole thing. There we go. And so let's pretend. It looks like that. Okay, it looks something like that. So we copy the position of the comma. There we go. I've got the comma. Then I'm going to sname, the name that I want to add. So I'm going to make another string variable. Sname. Sname is equal to copy. We want to copy from stemp, starting from 1 till the position of the comma -1. Does that make sense? So we're going to copy from 1 till the position of the comma -1. Okay, are we happy? If the position of that plus, if there's no plus sign in the word, so we know that this is going to say Bruce Kent in this case. Bruce Kent. There's no plus sign. If the position of the plus symbol in this little name is equal to 0, then do you agree sname is exactly what we want it to be? So then, if that's the case, then sline, which is this line over there, see, he's got it there, S line is equal to whatever is in S line, plus we want a brand new enter, 13, plus the name S name. Do you see that? So let's look. We want to go into a new line and add Bruce Kent. That's what we're doing for that case. Okay, does that make sense? If the positive sign in that little name that we extracted, there's no positive sign there, boom, just add the name, because the name is exactly what we want. But else, now this is if the name contains a plus, in other words, plus partner. Okay, now we at the place, oh, there is a plus sign. So what do we do now if there's a plus sign? Well, then we're going to say S name. S name is equal to copy from S name. I'm changing S name, starting from 1 till the, I don't want this plus partner bit. I just want to copy from 1 till the position. Copy from 1 until the position of this plus symbol in S name minus 1. So what I'm doing is I'm saying, okay, if this was the first one, I'm saying, okay, well then go copy from 1 until the position of the plus sign minus 1. So copy just the name. Okay, so S name is just going to be that, because I don't want S name as the whole. I just want the actual name part without the plus partner part. Or you could just delete 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You could also do that. You could also do that. That's another option. You could say delete from S name starting at position, well, the position of the plus symbol. So it would be the position of the plus symbol. Boom, boom, boom. And how many characters? It will always be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, because you don't want the comma either. Delete for 9 characters. So you could do that. Both of those would change S name to be just the name of the person. So now when we add, so we're going to do the exact same thing we did here. We're going to do the exact same thing there. But instead of just adding the name, we're also going to add, what are we going to add? We're going to add the word with partner plus the word with partner. Okay, are we happy with that? So if we copy from the text, if it's got just a name, then we just add that name to the list, and then like we add it to S line, and then it's going to display S line. If it's got a plus symbol, then we copy from 1 to the position of the plus symbol, or just delete everything after the plus symbol, and then add that name with the word with partner. Now that only works, unfortunately, for the first person. What happens for all of them? Well, we're going to do this however many times. 1, 2, 3, 4 times. 1, 2, there are 4 commas. So we are going to go, we're going to, for I equals 1 to the position of the comma. Oh, how many commas there are? Well, they're F students. So F students tells me how many commas there are. So if there are 5 students, then we just need to do this 5. There would be 5 commas. So we just have to do this 5 times. So I'm going to say, hey, this stuff, please do this 5 times. And this is the end of the for loop. And so we need obviously an R variable. So let's make an R variable. So I was going to go do this. Do this for the first person, copy from the position, and delete from S line. Blah, blah, blah. And it's going to keep doing that. Now, okay, we find the position of the next comma. So it'll do this. But once we've extracted that, we want to make sure that we've deleted everything. We don't want that. We don't want that anymore, if that makes sense. So before we move on, once we've extracted what we want, then we must delete from S name from 1 till the position of the comma. Okay, but you wouldn't do it with that. So there we go. So basically you want to go, okay, delete, boom. Find the position of the comma, extract what you need to, and then once we've done everything, we're going to delete from 1 till the position of the comma. Boom, so it's going to delete all that. So we're going to be left with just this. And then it'll do it again. Find the position of this comma, and it'll do that whole algorithm again. And then find the position of that comma, and do that, and so on. So it's going to repeatedly do what we just did for the first one 4 or 5 times, however many times there are, for however many students there are in that list. And once it's done, it's going to keep on adding on to S line, and then the result will just add S line. Does that work? We don't know. So let's just first check for errors. We're not going to know if it works until we do the next part of the question paper. So for now, we're just creating the object to see how it works. I just want to re-explain what we just did there. I'm just checking now for syntax errors to see that it runs and compiles correctly. There we go. It compiles, brilliant. So we know there's no syntax error. So just to recap quickly, for the first one, we just found the position of the comma, and if there is no plus sign, then we just copy the name. If there is a plus sign, like let's pretend that was the first part of the word, then we copy from 1 to the position of the plus sign -1, and then we add that name or whichever name it is, and then if it is the plus, we just say the word with partner. Then once we've done that copying and adding to S-line, we delete whatever's there. So we get rid of it. That's why I wanted to put fname list into a temp variable, because this mustn't be sname, this must be stemp. There we go. Are we using the right variable though? That's fine. That position of name, yeah, that looks all right. Well, so we're deleting from stemp, stemp is correction. So we do that, continue. So then we do this loop again, because there's another comma. The comma tells me how many people there are. We're going to do this. So it'll do this exactly again. Add a new line with a new name at the bottom after that line, and so on. Blah, blah, blah. Keep doing it until we get to the end, because the last comma indicates the last person. Okay, so that's what we just did. Basically, I work with one and believe that it's going to work for all of them. So let's go to the next question to see how it works and applies in the next bit. The next part of this video series will be in the link in the description below. Otherwise, leave a like, leave a comment, please subscribe. We'd really like your support for the channel. And remember, don't do it the long way, do it the Mr. Long way.